Okay, so here we are again, our first class on Zoom, doing software engineering, and we're starting the book by Ian Somerville, Software Products. That's me, that's my email. Okay. So we're going to distinguish
class
first.
on Zoom, do you mean that this is going to continue to be on Zoom?
No, I don't mean that. I just mean it is our first class on Zoom. We may have others, you don't know. I don't know. But probably not. Maybe our only class on Zoom. Anyway, software products are generic software systems that provide functionality that's useful to a range of customers. So we're distinguishing between custom-made software and software products. And it's like, it used to be that, you would want a shirt, you would have one custom made by a tailor, because the amount of effort to make a shirt was a tremendous amount of effort, and nobody would make it unless put in that effort unless they had a guaranteed customer. Then when the sewing machine came about, they started making, sizes, and they made them ahead of time because it was easy to make them now with the sewing machine. Anyway, software products are kind of like those. They're not made even for a particular customer. They're not custom made. They're made for anybody to use. And that's different from contracted software or so here custom here on the bottom it says custom software system are still important for large businesses, government and public bodies. They are developed in dedicated software projects. But products are for a wide range of people. Examples of them are like Microsoft Excel or like Zoom. In other words, nobody asked for Zooms to be made. Somebody decided to make it. WhatsApp is another example, or Sudoku on a phone. In other words, they can be large scale business. They can be for your personal, for your phone, like WhatsApp, or it can be something that is standalone. It's not even require any internet, like Sudoku. Software product engineering methods and techniques have evolved from software engineering techniques. In other words, this software engineering is the general concept, but then software product engineering is a subcategory really of that. That support the development of one. In other words, general software engineering is intended for development of custom-made software for dedicated projects and dedicated customers. So the way project-based software engineering, in other words, the ones that are custom-made, work like this: that the customer has a problem, and then he comes up with requirements, or together with a professional software developer or software engineer, architect, right? Customer and developer come up with the requirements, and then the developer writes software which helps him with the problem. That is what we've done up till now. What we talked about in like the Mismach Yazum, in the initiation document. The starting point, so for the project-based software engineering, is a set of requirements that are owned by the client and which set out what they want a software system to do to support. As they define what they want. The software is developed by the software company, which is like a contractor. He's hired by the client, and he delivers the functionality to meet those requirements. The customer may change the requirements at any time in response to business changes. All of a sudden, his business needs something different. He's going to tell you he needs something different, and that's what happens. And the contractor must change according to those requirements. So he's kind of the servant of who hired him, of the company that hired him. And it usually has a long lifetime of 10 years, or it could be even much more. There's probably software in banks that is written 40 years ago, is still being used. But product software engineering has a different way of being done. The developer himself sees an opportunity. he sees, oh, wouldn't it be good to do this? Wouldn't it be good to make a WhatsApp type program, Wouldn't it be good to be able to locate where the nearest pizza shop is? So that inspires a product feature or various features. And then he decides, or his company writes the software. In other words, you could almost have a one-man or one person or one per offspring system here, where the same person who sees the opportunity comes up with a design and then implements it. And that's a lot of times when people have this dream of being developing something themselves and becoming very rich. So that's without a client. So we call that a product, because you're developing a final product for generic use, like I said, like the shirts that are made without a client in particular in mind. So again, the starting point is the business opportunity that is identified by one individual or many, and you develop software to take advantage or to fill of that opportunity or fill that niche. The company which identified the opportunity and implemented a set of software features that realize the opportunity, and then and that will be useful. In other words, they hope it will be useful to customers. So the software company will decide on development timescales, what features to include, what features not to include, what features to include along the way. In other words, what the first features we're going to have, what later features we're going to add. And he may want rapid delivery for two reasons. One is because he needs to start getting some money. There's no contract. There's nobody offering him any money for the development process. So he wants to put out something quickly. Also to capture the market for that type of product. He also wants to become popular. And you see that a lot of times that the beginning years of a software, it's free just to capture market share. So there's two terms here, software product line and platform. Product line is a set of software products that use a common interface or have a common core. Each member of the product line includes custom specific adaptations and additions. Software product lines may be used to implement a custom system for a customer with specific needs that can't be met by a generic product. Right. The product line can give you certain features that you need, that a certain customer needs. A platform is a software or software plus hardware that includes functionality so that new applications can be built on it. So in other words, it allows for other people to develop on my system. So in other words, Facebook creates a system that other people can write Facebook apps that will work on the Facebook platform, as opposed to a software product line, which is all in-house. Okay. Software execution models. So you can have, when you're designing software, you can have it be standalone, which means it's just on a computer or on the customer's computer, and you install it in their offices, and they have their software and they run it. Then you can have hybrid, which is part of the software functionalities implemented on the customer's computer, but some features are implemented on the product developer servers, and they're going to have to interact with my servers. They're going to have some kind of networking to my servers to get information, to get features. Like, for example, Word is, originally at least, it was standalone. It's on your own computer. But you might have a Word feature that, for example, checking your grammar might be done standalone, but you could imagine a system where the process requires a lot of artificial intelligence, which is constantly being updated and improved. And so your page, your document, let's say, is constantly being uploaded to the Microsoft servers, and they're checking it and then sending you back suggested corrections. which you don't even notice. It just seems like to you, all of a sudden it says this sentence needs a correction. But it's really coming from the fact that it's being analyzed at a distant place. So that would be a hybrid. And then software service. All of the product's features are implemented on the developer server, and the customer accesses these through a browser or mobile app. So you could have that all the computing is done on the servers of Microsoft or some other company, and you have to log in, or not, you don't have to log in, but you have to connect in some way to get the services that you want, the features that you want. For example, Google Docs. It's an interesting question. I don't know how much of Google Docs is implemented by the Chrome browser and how much is implemented by the Google servers. It could be almost all, it could be all on the Google servers, or it could be a hybrid, but it's certainly not standalone. I mean, actually it is standalone. You can have no network and you can do certain things. You can set it up that you can still edit. And then, when it connects, it will change, it'll update the server. You can have that also. So,
And that itself would make it not standalone because there's all these stuff that are working on the backups and stuff for the actual information.
right.
And
it
it's
wouldn't
not
be
being
pure-
stored on your
exactly.
computer also.
Well, I think you can set up the Google. I never did this, but it always asks me, don't you want to do this? I think you can set up Google so that it will store locally. But you're right, in the sense that it's still aching, it still desires to connect to the Google server and back up. So at least in that aspect, it's a hybrid. Right. I'm just pointing out the different possibilities. Okay. So here we have a diagram of that. Standalone execution. So product updates are still sent, by the vendor to you, but that's about it. You have all your user data, all the functionality is on your computer. So hybrid, if you see, it says additional functionality on the bottom. It says user data backups, product updates. So some functionality is there, or possibly there. I mean, I guess it could be just one of these three things. But well, no, if it's just product updates, then that would leave it as standalone. And then the user, nothing on the user's computer except for a browser. So that would be software as a service. You're just getting a service. You're just using a regular browser, but the browser is getting, when you press a button, the button is sending a message back to the server, and your browser is sending a message, and then the result is happening on your screen. But really, nothing. The browser is not doing anything. He's just sending data back and forth and receiving the results. It looks like you're pressing a button, and now your browser, let's say you type hello on your screen in your browser. So the hello, you're editing a document. Really, as you type hello, the H and the E and the L and the O and the two L's and the O are sent all the way across the world to Google, and then he sends you back a new page which has the word hello there. Theoretically, it could be done like that, and that the browser, you're not doing anything in the browser. But anyway, you got the idea. I mean, that's also the difference between like an app and a full website. Like a lot of times you can go to, a government site or any kind of site, and you can view it. You can view it on an app that they provide you, or you can just go to their website. And if you install an app on your phone, so then it's part of the process, then it becomes hybrid, right? Part of the processing is done on your computer and part is done on theirs. But if you go just to their website, then everything is really on their server. Except it gets confusing when you have things like JavaScript, where JavaScript actually technically runs in your browser, even though the server is giving it to you. So that's like a fuzzy area. Okay.
I mean, a lot of times also your mobile app could just be used for a better user experience. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're actually getting access to more logic or anything.
Which again, an app thing?
Yeah, I'm saying because let's say a website. Lots of times the reason they want you to use an app is just because they're able to give you a better experience, user experience. They're not necessarily running more stuff.
But the reason why it's a better experience is because they're running stuff on your phone.
It depends what it is. If you have, let's say, a Facebook app, they're still accessing all of the same APIs. They're doing it because they can give you a more controlled environment. I was saying,
If you have a Facebook app, you're saying Facebook is not running anything on your phone?
it's just the front end, but I'm saying the front end for any website is run on your browser in some sense. Are you saying if you have just
Yeah.
a front end, if you have just a front end for an app, would that make a hybrid?
I mean, well, the simplest case, to be clear, is like a regular web page with, let's say, no JavaScript. So then it's software as a service, right? Your browser is obviously running, but your browser doesn't count as there. Your browser can go to any website. What was your question again?
Well, my question is, I'm saying if you have any front end, any UI or anything for an app, which is therefore installed in your phone or on your computer, does that make it hybrid?
Yeah,
So if so, is there ever a situation where you could have a mobile app that is just a service and not hybrid? So you're always gonna have something that you
no,
put
I'm
on there.
saying no. I'm saying no. That is the concept of an app. It's to be an app is a hybrid thing, as opposed to an application. That's why they call it an app, because it's like, because only some of it is running. An application is fully on your computer. An app is partially on your computer or your phone and partially on the server. And then there's something that's fully on the server, where what would be a good example of it? Yeah, I don't know, YouTube. I upload, when it says to me that they're processing I upload something to YouTube. I upload it, but that's just an upload. But like, well, that's interesting. The window, like when I upload, the processing of the file from whatever format I have to whatever format YouTube wants to store it in is going to be done by YouTube on their servers. And when they write me back a thing that says 20% done, 30% done, 40% done, that nothing's happening on my computer. That's just telling me what their computer is doing.
You're talking about like an app now, or you're talking about a website?
I'm
Like
talking
the
about a
YouTube
website. But also on that particular part would be the same in both.
No, but if you have, what I'm saying is that if you have a mobile app, right? I'm
Yeah.
saying that code for that front end that's showing you that it's loading, that's being stored on your phone or on your computer, if it's not a website. So according to that, it would never be able to be just a
Again,
service. It would
it
always
can
have
be
to be
done
hybrid.
either way. I don't know I don't know programs how exactly they're done, but it can be done either way. You can either have the app sending data and retrieving data, and then deciding itself how to display things and displaying it itself.
But I'm saying if you're installing an app, then you wrote something that's on your phone. Otherwise, you didn't install the app. So I'm saying you can never have it just as a service. It has to be at most hybrid. Because there's
That's what I'm
something that
saying.
you
Yes, exactly. If the whole idea of an app is that some of it's running on your computer or on your phone, and some of it's running on that. That's the idea of an app. Something that would not be at all on your phone. Well, we've gone away from that. There used to be website. I mean, a standard website is like that. You go to pay your, I'm just thinking of things I did recently. You go to pay your electricity bill, so you go to a web page and it asks you information, and then it takes you to the next page and more information, the next page, and finally tells you you're done. You didn't run anything on your computer. Everything, you filled in information and sent the information via HTTP to the other server, and it all happened on the other server. All the checks for your credit card, whether it's valid or not, all happened on their server. So that would be a service.
So for example, according to that, all
Except
web
that,
apps by definition would be software as a service and not hybrid or standalone.
no, all web apps, no. Web apps are hybrid.
Web apps are just websites. Okay, let's say a website.
Websites. So all websites theoretically are software as a service, except, that's why I say it gets complicated if you know what JavaScript is, which has already been around for 15 or 20 years. But JavaScript is that I go to a website and then they load on me assuming my browser can run JavaScript, they give me code, and then my browser runs it. So I am actually running some code locally. So then it gets confusing there because it's really still my browser, it's not a separate app. But the code, but I went to their website and they gave me some, and they secretly downloaded to my browser some code that now is running on my computer. So that would be a software that would be a website that is actually a hybrid. You see what I mean? There
Yeah,
could be such a thing. Okay, but you got the idea. The question is when, it would depend on the application, how it's written. Comparable software development. The key feature of product development is that there is no external customer. We said that generates requirements and pays for the software. Which is why that last thing, and pays for software, is not bolded, but I would say that's the bolded part, because no one's paying for it. You're going to have to provide some of your final product quickly so that you can get some income. Student projects. What about, so these also are kind of software development. Individuals or student groups develop software as part of their course. Given an assignment, they decide what features to include. In other words, they themselves maybe decide the features. Research software. Researchers develop software to help them answer their own questions that are relevant for their research. So again, that's kind of like product development because there's no external client. Internal tool development. Also, that's another example of something that's kind of like product development, because I'm developing a software tool for my own work. In other words, I have to do programs. I have to write programs. So I'm going to make a program like a compiler to make it easier. So I don't have to write in machine language. I'll write a compiler for my computer so that I can get my work done better. But this is an internal product, and therefore there's no customer that I'm negotiating with. I decide. So those are also things that are similar to product development. So now there's something called a product vision. If you're going to make a product, like, you're going to make, let's say, that pizza app, a application that tells you, where the nearest pizza shop is, and it gives you ratings, by ratings. So it orders it by location and by how good quality it is. So that application is, I have to have a vision of my vision of what the product is going to do. What is this product? And there's simple statements that define the essence of the product to be developed. In other words, a pizza locator, it could be the title, but product vision should answer three fundamental questions. What is the product? Who are the target customers and users? Is it for kids? Is it for, maybe it's for companies? Companies need to locate food, for their workers. I don't know. And why should customers buy this product? Why would they need this? Could they already just type in Google, where's a pizza shop, and then Google will tell me. So if I don't have a good answer for why customers need it, then it's probably not good. So these are but I also have to know who's my target. What type? Is it tech savvy people? Is it, mom and pop? So these three questions have to be answered in a good way. That I have to have a target customer. I have to have. So there's Moore's vision template. I never saw this anywhere else, but so I don't know if it's the same Moore as Moore's law, but it's spelled the same. So Moore's vision template has to follow this format. This thing is for this target customer who need to do blah blah blah. It's for madrichei tiulim who need to find where flowers are blooming in the country. The product name, blank, the flower finder is a product category, is a locator software, is a web app, is a phone app. That key benefit, compelling reason to buy it. That helps you make more money by offering better tiulim by locating flowers. And it is unlike Google because Google only tells you where the flowers are, but not what the seasons that they bloom is. And our product, unlike Google, our product finds flowers. So here's an example. For a mid-sized company marketing and sales department who needs basic CRM functionality, what is CRM?
Customers relationship management, something like that.
Yeah. So it's like for a for a bank, they want to have a software for logging in and people seeing their accounts, and that would be a CRM program. They need mid-sized companies, marketing and sales department who need basic CRM functionality. The CRM Innovator is a web-based service that provides sales tracking, leading. So notice he's following. I sort of did it already. Following this format. Information sources for developing a product vision. So in order to have a product vision, you have to have some experience. It's very hard to do it if you're very young. You have to have some knowledge. You have to know about flowers, you have to know about Eretz Israel, you have to know about things that are related. So the domain experience. The product developers may work in a particular area and understand the software support that they need. They may be frustrated by the deficiencies in the software they use and see opportunities for an improvement. So in other words, you can make a pizza application to find pizza because you've tried to find pizza yourself. You know the issues involved, and you know what the existing software is out there and what the flaws of it are. Product experience. Users of existing software, such as word processing software, may see simpler and better ways of providing comparable functionality and propose a new system that implements this. New products can take advantage of recent technology. So you'll give a better experience. So part of it is you have to define what experience you're going to give. Customer experience. The software developers may have extensive discussions with prospective customers of the product to understand the problems that they face. Constraints such as interoperability that limit their flexibility to buy new software, the critical attributes of the software that they need. So first of all, you have to know something about the pizza. Then you have to know what products there are. You have to know what other people want in their pizza applications. And then you have prototyping and playing around. Developers may have an idea for a software, but need to develop a better understanding of that idea. They may develop a prototype system for experimenting, playing around. Right. You may start working on some kind of basic version of your program and see how good it is and see if it works. See if it's useful. In fact, what sometimes people do is if they have a graphic artist, they'll draw up like 10 pages of different screenshots, like ELU screenshots of how the program will look in this circumstance, in that circumstance, how it should look. And that will be drawn by an artist and no functionality at all. Maybe you can even do it as a front end, just as a as a HTML page and CSS page, and with no functionality. And that way you could show it to customers and show it around and see if it looks appealing before you bother developing it, which will take longer. Also it makes, so that's a kind of prototyping also. Okay, which I thought is a very brilliant idea. Because then you clarify between all the workers and the programmers what's needed. Here's another vision statement. For teachers and educators who need a way to help students use web-based learning resource applications, the iLearn system is an open learning environment that allows a set of resources used by classes and students to be easily configured for the students and classes by teachers themselves. Right. In other words, a setup in a web page or an app page, which has all the information that you're going to be teaching. Unlike virtual learning environments such as Moodle, the focus of iLearn is the learning process rather than the administration and management of the materials, assessments, and coursework. I don't know what that means, but our product enables teachers to create subject and age-specific environments for the students using any web-based resources such as videos, simulations. Sometimes you could ask the student what age he is or what grade he's in, and then on the same subject matter, you could give him an appropriate experience of the information you want to teach. Okay, throughout the book, actually, they're going to be talking about this iLearn system, where it's like an application that he wants to develop, Ki'ilu, for helping teachers and students learn and teach and learn in a particular class or school. So, software product management. So that is like managing not a project, but the product. So product manager, they take overall responsibility for the product and are involved in planning and developing the product marketing. Now, the product managers are the interface between the organization, its customers, and the software development team, right? So you have you call them the product person, product manager. I think I mentioned this before in other classes, but he's when I worked at a company, we had a product manager, and he doesn't manage people, he manages the product. When I think of his key role as being, well, there's many key roles, but one of his key roles is deciding what features should be implemented and what features should be left out or left for later. So what, in other words, he sort of contains the vision. The product vision is in his head. I mean, also the founders have the product vision, but he understands the founder's vision and he refines it because he knows the software domain and the product domain. He knows what other companies are doing, and he knows that's the product domain, and what's needed. And he also knows better the software domain, what's doable in software and what's maybe more difficult or maybe not practical. I mean, everything is doable in software. They say everything is a matter of programming. Anything can be done. It's just a matter of programming it. So that's what it says here. They're the interface between the founders and the software development team. Because the team maybe wants to do this feature, or the team maybe says we don't have time for this feature, and the manager says, and the owner says he wants it. So the manager will decide who's right. He'll decide, well, should we get this feature now or not? They may do pivots. They may pivot the product. They also may explain to the owners what technical issues are involved in giving a certain feature and creating a certain feature, because they understand the technology part as it's told to them by the software development team. Product managers must look outward to customers and potential customers rather than focus on the software being developed. Right, they're always having their finger on the pulse of what the market is, making sure that what they're doing is still relevant. So product manager relates to the business needs, the technological constraints, and the customer experience. He makes sure that the product is doable and useful and not too complicated. So what are business? So these are the business needs, that it'll be able to sell. People will want to buy it, and it will make, it'll have and also it's how do you say, it's able to be capitalized. It's able to be made money. Like they're always talking about it on Twitter. They were saying, how are you going to make money on Twitter? On Facebook, you can have ads, but how do you? For some reason, you can't have ads on Twitter. Maybe you can, but it was always a big question. How is Twitter going to be capitalized and is like turned into a money-making thing? Technological constraints. You have to know what you should be. Well, he says the product manager must make the developers aware of the technological issues that are important to customers. Okay, I would have explained it differently. I would say that he has to know what are things that can't be done. Maybe we want to have some feature. Maybe that feature is like, well, way down the road. It requires, satellite phones. It requires too much technology. Customer experience. So they also should obviously be in touch with customers and know that this is a thing. The way it's designed is useful for them. Okay, technical interactions of product managers. Right, these are all parts of things that he's going to be involved in. Customer testing, he has to hear back from how the customer's in. User stories and scenarios, we haven't gotten to that yet, but like, that's how you develop features. You know, how people are going to use the thing. Vision management. Maybe we're going to pivot. Pivot means we're going to change the vision from, it used to be a pizza app, now it's going to be a find butterflies app, you know, but it's still a lot of technology is the same, but we've changed our vision. Or is this feature part of our vision? So that's connected to product backlog management. You know, backlog management means, we'll talk about that more. That means like, what features should we add and should we not add? Acceptance testing, we'll talk about later. User interface design. Right, he should be involved in how it should look. Those are all jobs of the product manager. In fact, if I would have any job in a company, that would be the job I would want to have, be a product manager. Because you're kind of, it's like the director of a movie. You have the vision, you talk to everybody. You have to know the technological part, you have to know the marketplace. And it's an interesting job. But you know, getting that job is like George said in Seinfeld, he wants to be a manager of a baseball team. You can't just decide you're going to be a product manager. Technical interactions of product managers. Oh, so here it just goes through what I kind of already said. So acceptance testing here, what I didn't say is verifying that the software release meets the goals as set out in the product roadmap, that it actually does what it's supposed to do. So this is a little bit more detail on what those parts are. Yeah. So here it says that the project manager can himself create the user stories and scenarios, because they're related to the product vision. The user stories and scenarios are like fictional ideas of how the product would be used, how it would be used in reality, but they're not from an actual case, but from a theoretical case that you made up, that you think is what you think is likely, but you made it up. So product prototyping. Product prototyping is the process of developing an early version of your product. Test your ideas and convince yourself, the company and the company founders, that your product has a real market potential. In other words, you might write an inspiring description of what your product does, but you need to have like something that they can see. And they can say what they don't like and what they do like about it. So a prototype is very useful. It can help you identify the fundamental software components or services, and even to test technology if the prototype actually does something. Here's a mock-up GUI. That's what I was talking about before. Is also advisable, even quicker to set up. A mock-up GUI is what I was saying before, where you just hire a graphic artist to draw how it's going to look with no actual functionality. Building a prototype is the first thing you should do, which is surprising. You know, you really want that prototype out there. You want a working version of your software that you can demonstrate its features. In fact, this is like the famous thing of like the demo. You know, they say that they used to say that Bill Gates is the king of the demo. Bill Gates or Steve Jobs, actually? I think it was Steve Jobs, now that I think about it. The king of the demo. What do they mean by that? Because you come up with a version of the software that doesn't do everything, but it does something. So when you do a demo, you have to show them only the parts that obviously that do work. And the parts that don't work, you have to skip over, but you have to do it in a convincing way that it seems like you're showing the whole product. So building a prototype that has some functionality is a way of getting investors to invest in your company because they see you've already got something working and they see how it works. But you should always plan to throw away the prototype after development and re-implement the software, taking account of issues such as security and reliability. In other words, the prototype, why is it a prototype and why isn't it the final product? It's not just because it doesn't do everything, but because it's missing fundamental checks and fundamental security, issues. In other words, if you would just go on using it, it would, allow people to steal your product, like, let's say you don't, any number, for example, you might have a prototype where any number of a credit card, it works. You can buy stuff with any number. So you're not going to put that, you're not going to, that doesn't have a security check or other security issues, inner security issues. It can be hackable. You didn't think about how to prevent people from hacking your site. So a prototype is just to get something, quick and dirty working, but it's not going to actually fulfill all the requirements of good software development. So you can throw it away. Kind of like building a car as a prototype. It may fail in a crash test, as it may not be safe to drive. It may work and drive and everything, but not be safe to drive. So you could never actually make it. Two-stage prototyping. Feasibility demonstration and customer demonstration. Feasibility demonstration, you create an executable system that demonstrates the new idea of your product. The aim at this stage are to see if your ideas actually work and to show founders and or company management the original product features that are better than those in competing products. So you show what you're going to do and how it's going to be better than your competitors. Customer demonstration. You take an existing prototype created to demonstrate the feasibility and extend this with your ideas for specific customer features on how these can be realized. Before you develop this type of prototype, you need to do some user studies and have a clear idea of your potential uses and scenarios of use. In other words, the thing that you think is the feasibility is showing the, the main thing that it does, but the customer demonstration may have some features that a customer actually wants, not just the main functionality of the software. Okay, that is this chapter. We have key points. Software products may be software products are software systems that include general functionality that is likely to be useful to a wide range of customers because it's generic. It's supposed to be generic. In product software engineering, the same company is responsible for deciding on the features that should be part of the product and the implementation of these features. Right, you have no client. Software products may be delivered as standalone systems running on the customer's computers, or as hybrid, or as service-based. In hybrid systems, some features are implemented locally and others are accessed over the internet. All product features are remotely accessed in service-based products. A product vision should succinctly describe what is to be developed. Who are the target customers for the product and why they should buy the product you are developing. Domain experience, product experience, and customer experience and experimental software prototype may all contribute to the development of the product vision. In other words, knowledge of, pizza shops and programming and what customers want when they hunt for pizza, and also building a prototype help you refine your vision. Key responsibilities of the product manager are product vision ownership. He is the owner of the vision. He's supposed to know at all times what the vision is. Product roadmap development. He's supposed to know the milestones. What should be the first, second, third things added to the order of development. He's also supposed to create user stories, which means he's supposed to create scenarios wherein the product will be used, like who's going to be using it, what type of person, for what purpose, and the product backlog, which I'll call the feature backlog. Customer and acceptance testing and user interface design. Product managers work at the interface between the business, the software development team, and the product customers. So they're sort of in the middle between those three people. I mean, I always, a lot of times you don't really deal with the customers that much. So you just have the development team and the owner and the product manager is kind of the customer himself. Because he's supposed to have a vision of what customers are going to want. They facilitate, but he may talk to customers in order to improve that vision. They facilitate communication between these groups. You should always develop a product prototype to refine your own ideas. Because it helps you clarify what you really meant. Sometimes you think you know what you meant, but when you start defining it and making it work, you realize you didn't really know, or you didn't know certain aspects. And to demonstrate the planned product feature to potential customers. All right. Let's take a break here for Mincha. Stop share. And